It's time to soothe, groove, and move those hidden innuendos. Hello, and welcome to the program.
I don't know what it is, but people will make plans and then forget that they made the plans and not tell you until you're like, hey, are we meeting up still? And then there's nothing. It's like, why did you waste my time?
Well, I know the feeling.
Yeah,
Just so you know, it happens on my side as well.
Okay, I was like, am I doing something wrong?
Nope, I actually just got ghosted this morning. Anyway, it's just like the insensitivity of women now is just coming to
It's
people now. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah,
People.
let's not just point it on women, because I wouldn't say it's all men or all women.
Yeah, people. 100%. People are just not what they used to be. And this was like a change in a matter of a couple of years.
Well, I think, honestly, I was telling a friend of mine, since COVID, everybody flipped upside down. And I don't know what happened, but men don't want to do what men used to do. I don't know, put in time. I can only speak for women on my side. Women, for me, I've been finding men that are, I'm notorious. If you're married or if you're, I don't know, in another country or in another state, that's the ones that want to date me. I'm like, well, you're physically and emotionally unavailable, so that won't work. Married folks, never, because I'm not going to have used goods. And I don't want something that somebody else has. I believe in monogamy, and that's great that there are a lot of people that love to do the swinging thing, or
that happens all over the place,
or whatever that multiple thing is. I forget what
polyamory you're talking about.
Thank you. My friend is that. That's great for her. And
your friend's that. Wow.
Yeah. And so I don't understand it, but to each their own is what I told her. I don't really like talking about politics or religion because people get really irritable. And then if you add on alcohol, I'm allergic to alcohol. I don't drink. I have 4 missing organs. That's pretty much why I'm allergic, because of the Army. So
Wait, what do you mean? Do you mind if I ask you, what do you mean by that? Because the Army, you lost 4 organs?
Yeah. So I had a parasite. I was stationed in Germany. I was in the Army for 4 years. I was a combat field medic. And stationed in Germany, we were sent to Bosnia, Croatia, and Hungary. It's to the west in Bosnia, up to where we were stationed at. And then I caught a parasite so the Hungarians were cooking our food. So I caught a parasite basically from what they were doing, because their habits aren't as cleanly as ours. And so when I got the parasite, I was on guard duty, and because my staff sergeant, basically, or my sergeant, was a lazy asshole and would not do any of the guard duty. So I got stuck doing all of his guard duty, which basically means you have your weapon. And in Bosnia, it was felt like it was negative, bless you, -20. So I was wearing bear suits and thick armor, thick gear, and it was still cold. And so for 3 days I was sick. I was vomiting and really sick. And my friend was like, dude, you really need to go to sick call. I'm like, they won't let me. They keep putting me on guard duty so that I won't go.
Wait, I'm sorry. So you got there, they told you to go back?
Yeah, I was AWOL, which means you're absent without leave. You have to have permission and orders to go anywhere. The military knows exactly what you're doing, when you're doing, how you're doing, why you're doing. So if you go on vacation and don't tell them, and they find out, you can get subjected to dishonorable discharge. If you go AWOL, you can go to jail or get dishonorably discharged or get demoted or all these other things. And if you get a sunburn, you can get what's called Article 15 because you damaged government property.
Yeah, because you are government property, right?
And I'm government property once I sign that line.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still government property actually right now, because I'm a medical researcher, a trauma nurse, interventional radiology nurse, and now I work with intellectual disabilities, severe intellectual disabilities. So either they can't walk, they can't talk, their brain is
cognitive,
shallow, very not so much, or they're kind of with it but need a lot of help. So to make a long story short, I had pancreatitis for 8 years that wasn't taken care of by the VA. Had a lot of things happen throughout the medical system, which I write about in my book called A Resilient Warrior, and it's in 17 countries. And then I basically was tortured for 4 straight months at San Antonio, Texas, and that happened in 2014.
Wait, sorry, what do you mean you were tortured? You're tortured on US soil?
At San Antonio, Texas, hospital.
What were they doing to you?
Well, so I was assaulted by either 1 or 4 doctors, and I don't know how many because in the records it says there was 1 doctor in the OR, and he says I'm the only one, and you can't have 1 doctor only in the OR. If you know medical staff, and if you don't know medical, be quick about it. But in the OR, you have a scrub nurse, a scrub tech, you have basically people to count in, count out. You have nurses that are counting how many things that you're using, and then you have somebody using, like, bringing the instruments and all this other stuff. I had a bimallear ankle fracture with a fibula fracture. My legs, my left leg and both ankles were completely shattered. And so they put metal in, and they didn't give me proper anesthesia. Number 1. Number 2, when I woke up, I had vaginal scrapings for 3 straight days. So I can't say that I was raped, but something happened to where something happened within
So
that.
let me get this straight. You had pancreatitis, you got treated at a facility, and you were pretty much immobilized.
So with the pancreas, I had that for 8 years, and I had my pancreas. I was cut open from rib to rib 3 separate times in a civilian hospital. So those were fine. It's when I decided to date somebody that I thought I was getting married to. He brought me to
Those
San
bastards.
Antonio, Texas, and I fell in love with his son and fell out of love with him. I thought I wanted a child, but I couldn't bear children because of the 3 cuts that have been done to my stomach. So I have no pancreas, no gallbladder, no duodenum.
But let's go back to the hospital, the one where, like I said, that you weren't able to walk, and then you noticed that there was vaginal scrapings that you said
For
that
3
particular
straight days, I basically had tissue in the toilet, which means either I was raped or they did sodomy or something happened in
is
the
right?
OR.
And
And
then you
so my
like
trust for men went from the
yeah, but,
hun
like, what'd you do, though? Like, when you like, when you woke up, like, what did you do? Did you, like,
they shoved me
contact
back at
someone?
home. I couldn't contact anybody. When I tried to contact the civilian doctors, I was told that they could not talk to me, they would not talk to me, and when I tried to get my records to go see an ER doctor, civilian side, they threw me out and told me to go back to the VA. Once you're in the government's care, nobody wants to see you because what happens in the civilian side is if I take care of you, I basically have to clean up the mess that they made. They don't want to do that because it costs too much. So they told me that I needed to get care at the VA. Whenever I tried to get my medical records to get them sent, they denied me those records and they denied the doctors that were asking for the records, civilian side, for those records. And they only gave the records to civilian side when they knew the stature of time had passed, which is 1 year. So you get 1 year to basically say what happened or, try to prove what happened. And nobody would send my records, and conveniently they sent it like a couple weeks after the year that it happened.
So you're talking about the 1 year for you to complain that you were raped, and they did pretty much, like, just
Or
kick it
assaulted. I
down the
was
can?
starved, and basically they gave me very bare minimum medical care. They shoved me back at home, fully knowing I had stairs that I couldn't climb up to get to the bathroom, to get to everything. Then they gave me a extra large wheelchair. I was 137 pounds, so I'm not huge. I've never been huge. And they gave me such a large wheelchair that I couldn't get through my bathroom door. I couldn't get into the kitchen. I couldn't get anywhere really. So I was basically like literally crawling on my face for a while, and then they didn't give me a medical bed to sleep in, so I was sleeping on the couch trying to figure things out. When they put on my cast, it was so heavy that I kept falling, and when I asked for it to get changed, the doctor was like, you'll take this or it can get worse, basically.
Was it a male or female doctor?
I had a male doctor. I had all male doctors, actually.
You ever, like, wanna get a female doctor, maybe get them to be involved?
You can't request that when there's, number 1, it wasn't available. Number 2, I was already set up. So they basically put stuff in your records to when they do that. One of the nurses was very honest with me and said, because of this, they're looking at you like a drug addict. I said, all they got to do is check me. And the doctor that did whatever he did. And then also I had staff members like shoving my foot forward and back. So my foot, by the time they were done, looked like they put it down and they put it sideways. So it looked like a hockey stick, basically. And I have pictures of all of this. It's not like, like I said, I've had a lot of therapy. So like I'm a lot
Yeah.
better now, but my trust in men went from like, I'm regaining the trust in men now and did, like I said, a shit ton of therapy to get
Why
there.
would they do that though? Why would they position your foot that way? Was it to align was it
They didn't
broken or
want
was it
me to walk again. Basically got it to the point where they had hardly any food, hardly any water, hardly any access to the bathroom. And unfortunately, when you're in the military, civilians don't understand is there's a different requirement for medical care. So there was over 300 basically veterans who died at San Antonio, and like many women who've been sexually assaulted and have been killed at Fort Hood for even trying to say what happened to them. So I was rescued by a friend of mine, and by the time I was rescued, she had told me I had bruises from head basically to like from neck down, and that I weighed 107 pounds, and she's Jewish, and she said, "You look like you came out of Auschwitz." So
But why
it
would
was
they single
horrible.
you out though? Because you are a medic, right? You're actually helping the wounded in combat. But why would
Correct.
they single you out if you are actually one of them in a sense?
Because I'm a woman and I was telling him the truth, and he didn't like my demeanor, he didn't like my attitude, he didn't like the way that I was saying things, and so he took it out on me as like he wanted control. He was more or less like a narcissist, and I had read in medical records, other people's records, that he did the same thing to them, but they were men. That he basically told them, "You don't need any pain medication," after they just had like shoulder surgery and stuff like that. And why he wasn't disbarred beats me, but he got promoted after he did what he did to me.
But he wasn't yeah, he so it wasn't directed at only women. He was doing it with every patient he encountered.
Well, he didn't believe in giving people pain meds or whatever. So he, in his
Jeez.
mind, decided that everybody was a drug seeker, everybody was a drug addict, that we were useless, and he didn't care. And
Unbelievable.
in the military, you get the care that you get. In civilian care, you can at least sue or, go to proper channels, right? But in the military world, it's so hard to even, like, they're like, well, you could sue the military. No, you can't. Not
Yeah.
really.
But could you still just at least talk to an attorney and just let them know, "This is what happened to me.
I
What type
did,
of
but I'm
recommendation?"
saying the medical records after the statute of like time
The
statute
1
goes
year?
by, there's nothing you can do.
Wow, that's crazy. There's only a statute of 1 year?
Yeah,
That's nuts.
I know, right? So when people ask me like, "Well, why aren't you dating? Why don't you trust men?" Between that and being an incest survivor and being gang raped at 10 with my brother's friends, I've had a gnarly history. So I really try to understand. And I've had before this 2014 many friends that were men. It was just the dating portion that I haven't had luck in. And it's not that I'm not open to having a relationship. It's just I require a certain amount of honesty, and when I don't get it, I leave.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not that I push it under the rug or that I don't think it's serious. It's just I've been doing a lot of therapy since
Sure.
2014, and now I'm a very big advocate with a friend of mine who ended up getting locked up. Her friend got locked up in the brig and for PTSD and stuff like that. So we're trying to get more stories out so that in the civilian world we can have a better understanding. And I had fought from 2014 now to get what's called community care, and a lot of others have. So it wasn't just me, but I had written to Congress. I'd written many letters to try to get things changed for us. So hopefully there will be a start of a change. But
Yeah.
until there's enough advocacy for us, or until multiple people start standing up for us, there won't be a change.
Well, you would hope so because now in today's world, there's a lot more women that are in the military. Like I see that. I see a lot more women
Right.
today than I did 20 years ago.
And there's a huge difference. Like women can actually fight in combat zones, like as far as being like they can do Sears school, which is survival, evasion, yeah, I think
Yeah.
survival, evasion, escape, or
But do
whatever.
you think that can change? I know that what you went through was
I
unfortunate.
don't
That's
think it'll
bullshit.
change. So what I want is there to be consequences. So when this happens to either a man or woman, my best friend before he passed. We were trying to figure out a way to help him because he was raped by women. And people are like, well, you can't get raped by women. Sure you can. And the way that they do it is they just go down on a man, get him hard, and then jump on top. And he had that happen with 3 women. So there's not just women that are getting raped, there are also men. So that's why I'm very, very careful in what I say, because I'm an advocate for both. An advocate for both men and women that have been assaulted, and men and women that have been abused, both in the military and outside of the military through the VA. So I believe that, throughout my whole history, which is in my book pretty much, I have not lived an easy life. But I also understand that it could have been worse, meaning I
I
could
don't know,
be,
could it? It sounds pretty bad from what I'm hearing.
I was bedbound for 3 years, 8 months, wasn't walking. It was pretty bad. And
This
yeah,
was separate than what you went through?
no, in 2014. It was
That's
from
the same, okay.
2014 to 2018.
Got it.
So I relearned how to walk by getting in the water and doing something called Watsu. And then I became a Watsu practitioner because I was like, this can help me. Hopefully I can help other people. So I get people in warm water and I do massage, which is called shiatsu. The only reason I'm walking today is due to a company called BioAccelerator, and they're in Colombia, and I went twice for stem cell therapy because I got stem cells in America. They didn't work. I spent over $10,000 and it still didn't work. So when I went to Colombia, I had found out that whatever they did, I had scarring in my throat, I had herniated discs in my neck and my back, wasn't walking very well. And by the time I got to Colombia, I reverted back to a wheelchair because of the flight time that it took. And so I've been doing physical therapy now for 10 years. Finally got to take a break about 3 months ago. But I
Tell me
believe it
about
could
this,
be
though.
worse, meaning I could be in a wheelchair forever.
Very true. And I'm glad
And
you're not.
I believe that it could be worse. Like I could be in prison. They could just decide to find out things or whatever and just make up things. And so, for me, I moved to Oregon for a safe place. I wanted to die and I thought I was going to die. So I was like, well, you know what? They have the right to die state, which is here. And if it's bad enough, you can get assisted suicide. So I thought in my mind, I was coming to die.
So they can euthanize you in the state of Oregon.
In this state, yes.
What other states are right to die? Do you know?
I'm not sure because I was looking, a friend of mine lived here and she's like, well, I live in Bend. And I was like, well, maybe I should check Oregon out next because I lived in Colorado for so long. I was stationed in Colorado at one point and I lived there for 11 years. The problem with when I went to Colorado, they didn't know how to take care of me. And my foot was so bad that whenever I put it below my eyes, it would turn red, purple, and about an elephant's foot, about this big. And I have what's called the suicide disease, which is chronic regional pain syndrome, which is the same thing. You put your leg down and it swells, and then it's a neurological burning disorder, basically. So it would go from my foot to my head. Never had anything like that until 2014 events that happened to me.
And what's it called? You said suicide disorder disease?
It's called the suicide. Basically, it's the suicide disease, which is CRPS. It was known as RSD in World War I and II, and that means it's a sympathetic disorder, regional sympathetic disorder. And if you chop off the foot or chop off the leg thinking it's going to get better, it made it 1,000 times worse. And it almost felt like someone literally is taking a torch and just putting fire on you all the time. And so it was going all the way up through my spinal cord and in from my leg to my spinal cord through my head. It's a lot less now that I've had stem cells that actually worked, but they had to put those in my spinal cord for those to work.
And the only way for that to be treated is by stem cells, or can it be controlled with any prescription or medication?
I've tried every medication that you could think of, to include, I was on ketamine every other day, which is a horse tranquilizer. And then I was on morphine and Dilaudid and Benadryl and something called Phenergan for the nausea. I was on as many medications as you can put somebody on without pushing them through the edge, and I had many, 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 many seizures because of it. By the time I got
ketamine, or sorry, from the ketamine,
from all the medications I was taking, and then my blood sugars, because of the lack of care, they would push my blood sugars all the way up to like over the thousands, and then they'd shove me back down, giving me insulin in the bag, basically for IV, and an IV that goes, a PICC line that goes from your biceps basically here all the way up to your heart. It goes straight through
Why would they shoot you up all the way to 1,000?
because there
Is
was
that even
lack of
legal?
care and they didn't care. So they would overdose me and then they would try to reverse it.
And we're still talking about the VA,
Yeah.
correct? Wow.
And so when I at this point, since the VA is over 3 hours from me, thankfully, and I can't get over the pass once the winter hits, I'm allowed to see a civilian. So I do see civilian care. But every year I have to go to the VA clinic in order for me to keep my benefits.
Got it. Right. I see.
And so I'm thankful that I don't live close to a VA because it gives me like I already have PTSD, but it gives me even more PTSD thinking I ever had to go. And
Yeah.
so if I ever did have to go, I would be, I don't know, I'd probably have my benefits just taken away.
Yeah. It's like you're more self-reliant now that you're not depending on going to the VA every time. The further away from the VA, probably the better for you, right?
For me personally, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And there's a lot of people, a lot of veterans that I speak to now that have the same issues. Like when they go to the VA, it's like it's such lack of care that I call it no care, which means that they don't care. You're left literally. There's been many VAs where the veterans have been left to die.
I'm wondering how many VAs, or sorry, I'm wondering how many veterans there are in the state of Oregon. I wonder if they have like a huge concentration of veterans. Since,
There's
like
a
you
lot of
said,
veterans really everywhere at this point
yeah,
in
but
time.
like you said though, the right to die state. I wonder if that like happens to draw a lot of these veterans who are going through the same thing you're going through. So like, hey, I'm going to go to a place of solace
Right.
and a place where I've actually can die with dignity in a sense.
Well, the thing is, you have to have a diagnosis of 6 months or less in order
Right.
to be able to die, and mine wasn't severe enough. And no matter what anybody says, I will just fine on the outside. I act just fine, right? But the inside of me is like a turmoil bomb going off, with all the organs missing, And I trained for a 100-mile ride with the Diabetes Association. They used to call me Half Pint as a joke. And so I was an athlete my whole life. And when this happened, I couldn't ride. I couldn't do anything really. I was pretty much helpless. And so I had to learn to depend on people at some point. So 3 years when I first moved here, I was angry at the world. You couldn't really get to me. I
Yeah.
had the thickest wall. The shells were high. And then 3 years later, I just started opening up. And then I got into therapy again. And so once I started therapy, I realized there was going to be a lot that needed to get uncovered. And so I think my mission at this point is just to figure out like what it will take to, because there's a lot of people that have had traumatic experiences that are still in relationships, getting back to like going in
Oh yeah.
relationships. And so I would
Happens
like
right
to,
now.
what's that?
It's happening right now as we speak.
Yeah. And so I would like to figure out a way to be open enough to have a relationship again. But like I said, for some reason, like those apps and stuff, they're just not for me. Going to a bar and seeing somebody drunk is not for me either.
And I don't blame you. And I don't want you to think that that's how every person on dating apps is perceived, because there's a lot of great men on there. And, I think that I'm one of the few because, again, you're not going to find me at a bar every weekend getting pissed drunk, or you're not going to find me being abusive to women. That's just not how I roll. I wasn't raised that way. But there are some fucking douchebags on there that should not even be on
Right.
these dating apps or dating in general, but we allow it because guess what? They keep paying for their subscription, so it's okay. As
Right.
long as they're paying, who gives a shit?
Or
But the
they're
problem,
married or they're taken and they're already like cheating and stuff like that, which
yeah,
I don't want that either.
they get their piece of the pie and then some. But what I've actually been stressing here is that I think that if these dating apps really want to provide safety for women, is to do background checks.
Even if
In
they do
order
the background checks, though, it's not good enough. Because look at how many people
it may
were
not.
driving an Uber and they still had all those rapes and assaults.
Yeah. However, it's not as much, right? 'Cause even though you may not be controlling it to the point of it being 100% contained, but at least it's something. It gives women at least a little bit of confidence knowing that, hey, they're still trying, right? They're in the beta stage, but they're doing whatever they can to make sure we're safe. It's not always going to be 100% successful,
Right.
but at least it's the attempt that really matters.
That's fair. Not right, but it's fair.
It's
Fair
you're
assessment.
100%. It's not right, but at least we're trying to do something. And we can't, some of these guys, they know better. These old dogs here, you can't teach them new tricks,
Right.
nor do we want to, because once they start to learn something new, they take advantage of it,
But I could say that some women are just as bad.
rightfully so. So
So
people
I don't wanna just say, like, this is like I don't male bash by any means. No matter what has happened to me in my history, still stick up for men and still stick up for women
of
just the
course.
same.
Yeah, we
And so
want
I don't wanna say, like, just men are having these issues or just I'm having these issues. No, I find that the more people I talk to, the more they're like, "Oh, I don't even wanna go there anymore." And the people that I hang out with are already married, so it's like, "Okay, this isn't working."
so I have to tell you this, I'm gonna embarrass you here, but I've seen looking at you and seeing the pictures on Facebook, you do have one of the nicest smiles, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You do, you really do. I think yeah, see right there it is right there.
Yeah,
And you were an actress before, is that correct?
I've done independent filming,
Yeah.
and I've done some extra work when I was younger to include Angels in the Outfield was my first thing that I've done. And then my mom shoved me in modeling since I was a baby. So I did bikini modeling, stopped that when I was able to. Once I turned 18 and I had a choice to leave the house and go in the army, I stopped doing that for a while. After I won Miss San Francisco Bay Teen USA, I thought it was done. So I was like, "All right, mom, I fulfilled your dream. Like, please leave me alone with this now." But when I was 22, I got offered different things like taking photographs again and got paid okay. And so I did that for a while, and then I have always been like a caregiver. So when I was younger, we used to adopt grandparents until they died. We'd go to nursing homes, adopt them, and we would go feed the homeless right after. And so I created a company called Feed My City, and that's basically one seed, one plant, one garden at a time, to where I ask people to grow stuff in their garden and any excess they give to like food banks. And then some of the grocery stores out here, they give to basically food banks as well.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so, but modeling only goes so far, and that's just looks. And acting the same, you don't really get paid that much unless you're like
Big
into
time or yeah.
SAG and have all these networks and stuff like that. I didn't make that.
It's
So,
truly about who you really know.
not even who you know, because I know certain people, but it's depending on where your location is, if you're right for the part, who's paying, because there's always somebody paying. And so, who's the producer and who's the director, who's the writer. Right now, I have a writer that contacted me who wants to do a series, and he wants me to help him write because I also write as well. So we're creating this character and characters, and I might possibly go in with him to do that. And so it just depends, to be honest with you. But even that, when you go into certain movies or certain series or certain television shows, some people, not myself, get in the habit of having relationships for that time. Like, oh, we're having a movie, get in a relationship, break up after the
You're
movie's
talking about
over.
like getting a relationship with the cast?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, right.
And that doesn't work for me either because it's short term. So I don't like short term stuff. I don't want to be with you for one weekend and then bail. It's just not, it's personally not for me.
Is it true that I see that on Facebook that you wrote a children's book called The
I just
Dragon's
did,
Voice?
yeah. So I wrote that.
That's beautiful.
Thanks. It's for children under 12. And it's for really any child, but I wrote it mostly for people with disabilities so that they could learn how to read and then also make sure that they're getting the right picture with the words. So the words are on one page and the picture's on the back. And with that, there's 4 main lessons. The first one is don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. The other one is how to make friends. The third one is basically what I do has an effect on you and the universe around us, or city around us, world around us. And then the last one is to listen to your intuition. And that's the most important one to me. So I teach parents to teach their children about grooming behavior so that they don't get sexually assaulted and that they learn so that they don't get kidnapped. Different things like make sure you do different scenarios like, hey, my puppy's missing. Do you want to come with me? Or, hey, your mom told me to pick you up. Stuff like that, different scenarios. And then have your friends possibly do that scenario to see if your child actually learned the lesson.
Oh, that's interesting. I feel like a lot of the stuff you just mentioned would be good for adults today, learning how to
Right?
right, like how to do it all over again the right
I think
way.
so too. And so I've had So far, I've had really good feedback on both of my books, A Resilient Warrior and A Dragon's Voice. My first one was called Mindy's Fight, and that was just a ball of anger. Like, if I was a dragon, you can just see a bunch of fire and that was just spitting out the events that happened in my life because I was just angry. And I wasn't cognitively, when you and I are speaking, I'm not stuttering anymore. I used to stutter before stem cells, and I couldn't get the words out as clear as I'm getting them out now. So everything kind of changed after stem cells, to be honest with you. And I owe my life basically to the Germans and to the people in Colombia who helped me with this, the company BioAccelerator. They mostly do like high elite athletes. They also work with regular individuals.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about stem cell. Before I even talk with you about it, I know a lot of people they love
Yeah.
it. They think it's going to be the way of the future as far as therapy and how to
Well,
rehabilitate
because
yourself.
America's not about curing, they're about caring. And stem cells often cure things, and they actually help, like MS, Parkinson's, people that are in wheelchairs or not in wheelchairs anymore. If you ever have
Amazing.
seen UFC fighters called Matt Hughes got hit by a train, he's walking and
Wait,
talking.
what? You got hit by a train?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So if
When
he
was
can
this?
walk and talk, then I was like, I want that. I want what he got, and I want to go where he went.
You mean you want the stem cell, not the train?
No, I don't want the train. No, I was already a train wreck, so I don't
I
need that
want I
anymore.
want that Amtrak. We're gonna find one of
No,
those.
no, 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 it's a
Yeah, no, I
train wreck.
got you.
But he's the reason why I was like very motivated to go to this company in specific. Because a friend of mine went to Panama and he got stem cells and it worked just fine as well.
So tell me about the Resilient Warrior.
So a resilient warrior goes from my childhood all the way to basically 3 years before COVID hit, which was 2020. And that mostly talks about different medical adversities that I've gone through, but also being an incest survivor because my brother loved me a little too much, and then being gang raped by his friends at 10, and then having all these different situations to be resilient for and resilient about that. I don't know. Most people's lives are definitely not even a scraping of what I've gone through or an ounce of what I've
Definitely
gone
not.
through.
Yeah, definitely
And I
not.
make that very clear. And I also make it very abundantly clear that you don't have to have the same traumas, nor 1% of the trauma. I don't want anybody to have the trauma that I've had. However, I break it down to where if you feel suicidal or you have suicidal ideation or you're depressed or have anxiety, to come talk to me, because who better to talk to somebody than who's had a shit ton of trauma like I have.
You know what?
And so
You brought up a great point too, because first off, you went through a lot of shit. And like I don't want to talk about the rape because again, I just just listening to it as a father of a young daughter, I don't know if I can handle it. I probably just couldn't stomach it. But the fact that
right.
you went through it, that's just oh
And my father didn't care. Like when I told him, because he's a drug addict, when I told him that what happened when I was an adult, because I got unfortunately raped again by my brother's friend.
the same group of guys.
No, it was somebody different.
Oh my god.
Right.
Why
So
would you so I'm sorry, I don't mean get involved here, but, like, your brother, this is your sibling, and the fact was he, like, watching you, or was he in another room?
no, he had told his friend to like be with me. And so that was set up. And so once that happened, and I told my father, because I was like, I didn't meet my dad until I was about 4.5. And he was in California and I was in Florida. So I was always the summer child. And something always happened in the summer. So my mom never really wanted to send me, but she had, I was begging her to go to send me because I wanted to see my dad. When I told him what happened, he said, well, at least you got your cherry popped, because I wanted to be a virgin until I was married, because it was ingrained in my, childhood to wait until you're married. So, and then he handed me a bong and asked me to smoke weed, and then put some lines of cocaine out and was like, do you want to smoke, do you want to snort some lines with me? And I was like, no, Dad, I'm going to nursing school. Like, I can't smoke with you. I can't snort with you. And I don't want to drink. No.
Do you mind if I ask what your relationship with your brother and dad are now?
They're gone. They're in my brother's in California, and my dad, I believe, from my understanding, he went to another country, and I hope he stays there. And when both of them die, I will be throwing a party.
I'll be there with you.
Like I'll be cheersing somebody and you drink and I'll just drink Kool-Aid or whatever.
That's
But
fine.
the animosity that I have towards them has been rough, and my trust in men I can only default it by what I know. And I used to think that abusive love was love until obviously I got therapy, because I thought that you had to hurt me in order for me to get loved. And I thought that if you weren't hurting me, and I think that may help a lot of people, women and men, that when you're in an abusive situation and you've had so much trauma happen throughout your life, it's really hard to hang out with somebody who's a nice guy, because you don't know what they want. You don't know if there's second intentions, and that's almost scarier. Like, I got to a point where I was like, could you just hit me and get this over with? Because that would at least show me that you loved me, you cared for me, you had something for me, and we could just get the semantics over with you being nice to me, and then you're gonna hit me or hurt me later.
Because you probably thought that these nice guys had something, some type of agenda where they wanted something in return.
Right, so I rejected them. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I've had men in my life who would have been, like, now that I look back, of course, after all the therapy, would have been amazing for me, and we could have gone way further than the abusive men, obviously. But I picked people that were abusive, angry, had issues, all the things that were like my daddy. Like, I had a lot of daddy issues, we could say. Now, not so much, because I can see it from a mile away. And if there's yellow flags, I'm kind of like, all right, good, I'm good. You know, red flags, I'm out. But sometimes there's yellow flags, and I got to figure out, like, is this my stuff? Or am I putting too much on this man? Or, you know, so now I see gentle guys, and I'm like, you know what? That's a good guy. All right, I'd be open to that. Oh, you're married. Never mind, not so open anymore. Oh, you live in another country? Not so much. Oh, you live 10 states away? Not so much.
Well, not all the kind guys are married, just so you know. But, you know, I'm actually reading a book, and this guy brought up a very interesting discussion about the 3 types of men. Like you mentioned, you got the nice guy
Yeah,
who
the
looks good
father
on
fuck
paper.
you or want to friend you.
Yeah, exactly. They're really nice to you up front, and then they always have some type of hidden agenda, like I said. They want
Right.
something in return.
Correct.
And then when they don't get it, guess what happens? They go complete
shoot
Jekyll
somebody
on
else.
you. Yeah, they go werewolf on you, and they just go berserk. And then you got the asshole guy. You got the bad guy who everyone knows exactly what his motive is. He's the guy that just wants everything for himself.
Right.
And then you've got the grounded guy who has done the journey, who's done the work, who is emotionally
Right.
intelligent.
Completely spiritual and everything else.
Exactly.
Let me
Yeah,
find that
compassionate.
guy.
They're around.
Let me
Yeah,
find the
they
guy
are.
that's done the work and is willing to put in the work to do it.
They are around, and I always stress this, that they're here. They just are not. They're not being presented to you right now, because right now may not be the opportune time. But it's going to happen. If you want that to happen, it will happen.
Maybe.
And I'm
And
not
if it's
trying
not
to
meant to be,
blow
it's
smoke
not
up
meant
your
to
ass.
be
I'm just
either, you
saying.
know?
Yeah, I just want you to feel a little bit more positive with what's going on in today's dating world. That's my motto. Is I want people to know, fuck, we all know we're going on bad dates. We experience a lot of shitty people, but it doesn't mean you have to give up and think that everyone you go on dates with is a shitty person.
That's true too.
Yeah,
Or
you
that it's
have to
going to be
give.
like a bomb. Like, you're like, okay, here we go. Or dreading it.
Yeah, you got to give people not only the opportunity, but you got to give them the benefit of the doubt that there really could
That's
be some
fair.
amazing people down the road.
Totally fair.
Yeah, so
And like I said, I've done a lot of therapy, so at this point in time, I'm way more open to it than I was before. And I do see that there are good men, because my friends are happily married. And I see that they're actually happy, that they're not just like faking it. Because you can't fake things for over 8 years now. You know, like, I've been with these people, this group of girls for 8 years now. And I'm like, there really is, like, there is a happy ending in this. Oh, okay. And not just a quick happy ending.
yeah, right,
Not like your massage parlor happy ending, but
right.
a real genuine, like, people actually like each other in relationships and
course.
stuff like that, which was rare for me to see until I moved to Oregon. So it just depends on where you're at too.
I need to find me a good group of guy friends, not for the happy ending reason, but I need to find some good guys where I can just hang out and just shoot the shit with.
Right. And I've heard even from my male friends that since COVID, it's even hard for them to like hang out and befriend other people, because either they're like on their tablets or on their phones or on TV or watching
yeah.
a movie, or like, people are so into technology that they forgot the human side, I think. And it would be really interesting, because I don't think we're ever going to go back, right? I think once we've progressed this far, that only technology is going to keep getting worse or better, depending on how you see it. And I don't know
think
if
I
there
think the
really is.
technology is to blame. I think it's the people. I think the people will start to get even more robotic to
Right.
where sex and kissing is going to be all done through AI.
Right? That's the scary thing, where they're like fucking a robot. literally fucking a robot. They have this like thing out that they're gonna be making that literally the robot can exemplify a human and you can fuck it. I'm like, that is crazy, number one. And number two, it takes away the human side. So people are just inserting their piece and then moving out.
You can say penis.
You know, like piece of work, and then they're going in and out. Well, I was trying to figure out for what would be the women too. I mean, women fucking male robots or whatever, or even fucking women, you know? I mean, I don't know. To each their own, like I said, I prefer a human touch.
I do
And
too.
I prefer men because I've had both sides that want me, and that's great. Don't get me wrong. I just don't prefer women.
Well, again, I'll embarrass you. I mean, I've seen some of your pictures. Very attractive. I mean,
Thank
you got it going on. So
you.
I'm hoping that these guys see that and say, man, and I'm not just saying just for your body. I want them to see inside of you, right? To see what you've gone through. And I want them to take that and I want them to cherish it and say, you know what, Mindy, I am not going to do what you went through.
Sure.
I'm going to do you even better. I'm going to make sure that I take care of you. Like, I need that from a guy to do that for you because you
I would
deserve
love
it.
to find that guy who's
You
actually
want to find that guy?
spiritual and like open and like ready. Because I've been ready. It's just like I said, the circumstances of me finding a man who's available and single and actually wants to date has been rare. I've mostly run into people that are married or like either mentally unavailable, physically unavailable, sexually unavailable, and I need somebody who's available.
Okay, just available. All right, so tell me, describe this guy to me, like as far as height. What's the height that you're looking for in a man?
That's funny. Well, I'm short, so I don't. It's a, as long as he's not a midget. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a requirement. I don't have like one of those lists where people are like, I have to have blue eyes, black hair, 6 foot tall, dances. I don't have like one of those. We got to have a resume. It's more or less like if matching the boxes for me means we have chemistry. If we have chemistry, we move forward. If we have no chemistry, you're done. And
I love
it's
that, by the way.
pretty solid with me. And when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. Come hell or high water, like I need somebody with integrity that basically follows up with their word and means what they say and is successful in life, meaning not just financially isn't living with their mom is what I mean. And even if he is living with his mom, is like taking care of things. Because I understand nowadays, which I found out, some men are living with their parents because their parents are about to die. That's a whole different story. I would rather have somebody who's not living with their parents so that can take care of their mom from a different, like, not put her in a home per se, but put her in like a single flat where you're taking care of her or having caregivers, somebody like me, which I pay to do, go into the house and take care of her as a nurse and then move on, you know? But I don't
I
really
get you.
have per se boxes. I just need chemistry. And
You
if
just need chemistry. I love
works,
that. I
then
respect
good.
that. And then as far as a guy is concerned, you want him to be close to you, like in proximity. Do you want him to be 100 miles away from you? How close is acceptable for you?
I mean, the preferred like close because I found that long distance relationships, I've done many long distance relationships, especially when I was in the military. They'd go to war and then come back and I would help them and we'd figure it out. And I've dated men that were like special forces that are real badasses and Navy SEALs and stuff like that. So I need not a manly man, but I need a competent man and a man that is willing to be open about his feelings, which is hard to do. It's really hard nowadays to be vulnerable, and I get that, but I speak about vulnerability all the time. And as far as distance goes, I don't know. It depends because, like I said, long distance relationships haven't worked for me, but I've always been open to it as long as there's, like, we'd have to figure out the problem with that is figuring out touch, how do we touch each other, and then.
So is physical touch one of your love languages?
Mine is being like with me, so giving me your time, and I love giving gifts. So I think that's my love language, though. My love language basically is from what I did that 4 languages, and it basically said giving me your time, like meaning you're not on your cell phone. And then basically, and gifts, which doesn't mean like monetary gifts all the time. Sometimes it's just like writing like the cheesy notes that's, hey, how you doing? Or, hey, I miss you. Or, those kinds of things. So
Gotcha.
a man that's thoughtful.
And then how old? What about age?
So I'm 48. I'll be 49 in December. So somebody between 45 and 55.
45 and 55. Okay.
And then proximity, I think it would have to be close or they'd have to have money to fly. So they'd either have to be, I don't mean to say rich, but they have to have money in order to travel because the travel expenses get ridiculous for long distance relationships.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've done them and it got really expensive for both. So somebody that's either financially independent and doesn't care, like loves to travel, or can possibly have like a house here and a house somewhere else. 'Cause a friend of mine has like 5 different houses and like he rents it out and stuff like that. That's even fine because then you got a house here and you can go and travel, do whatever you want. I don't need to be with somebody every day. That's not my style. I have to have somebody who understands time alone, like them spend their time alone and they want to hang out with their guy friends and let me hang out with my girlfriends and then let me have my own time. Because I feel like if you're together all the time, there's so much bickering and so much things that people like end up wanting to fight over. That to me, it's just not worth it. And I'm pretty low maintenance besides my medical needs. I'm a diabetic, so I'd have to have somebody understand that like I have to have food with me all the time.
Feed her. All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna look at this camera here. I'm gonna show you off. I'm gonna put you on the pedestal. Are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, let's go.
This is gonna be fun. All right.
Good
So
luck.
yeah, right. Wish me luck here. All right, here we go. So, all right, man, men of all over. As long as you can travel and are wealthy enough to travel for this amazing woman. Her name is Mindy. Mindy, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Mindy from Oregon. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how amazing she is. She does not want a tall, dark, handsome guy. That would be nice, but it's not what she's really looking for. Let me tell you exactly what we need from you guys. We need a guy who's going to spend quality time and give her gifts. And I don't mean diamonds and jewelry. I'm talking about like poems, like acts of encouragement, acts of like love. Something small like that is really going to touch her heart. She wants a guy who's spiritual, definitely single. If you're married, don't even bother. Single, ready to date with the intention for a relationship. She wants chemistry, right? It's so important these days that we lack it, but this is what she definitely needs. Stay to your word, right? If you're going to do something, stick to it. We need a compassionate man, right? Be compassionately available. I know there's a lot of you great men out there who are compassionately available, and she definitely needs that as well. A confident man. We need a confident man to go with it. If you are 45 to 55, amazing. I want you to do me a favor. What's that?
Preferably you live in Oregon or kind of close.
If you live in Oregon or if you have money to fly to Oregon, jackpot. But here's the thing. I want you to feed her, and I'm not saying because she doesn't have food. I want you to feed her because she is diabetic. So always be having like a snack with her, have some type of candy bar, whatever she needs to keep her active and alive, most importantly. But let me tell you a little bit about her. She's an actress. She's a military vet. She's an author. She's a nurse. And she's a fucking fantastic human being.
Thank you.
I've had the honor of having you with me tonight. I really, really appreciate you being with me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. And get her book. She's got a book called A Dragon's Voice. It's a kid's book, but I think all adults should be reading this as well. Because again, you can learn a couple lessons here on how to really live in today's world.
That's on Amazon.com.
That's on Amazon. All right. So The Dragon's Voice is on Amazon. And then Resilient Warrior is the newest book. All right. So when it does come out on Amazon, because I know a lot of people use Amazon, right? Truth be told, you let me know and I'll let them know so that way they can buy some copies from you.
Perfect.
Yeah. I love that. I had a great time with you tonight. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate that. Let me ask you this, my dear here. My closeout question that I ask all my guests here. If there happens to be a song that helps you soothe or groove or move on your good or bad days,
I did prepare for that one. I like
what's the name of that song?
Swift, and I did something bad. I don't know what it is about that one, but I think it's the beat because I like to dance. So I like that song mostly.
Sorry, what was the name of that song again?
I Did Something Bad.
Did Something Bad. Okay. But hey, nevertheless, thank you for being with me tonight.
Yeah, thank you.